I got a comment from a 59-year-old facing a layoff, the sole income for her household, asking what I wish I had done before it happened to me. And I'm going to answer that directly, without fluff and without generic advice. Because I've been laid off twice after 50, once I saw it coming and once I didn't. If you're seeing the signs, you have a window most people don't get, and what you do in that window matters. Hi, I'm Carrie. Welcome back to Retired by Accident, and grab your coffee because this one matters. First off, I want to provide just a little context. Like I said, I've been laid off twice after age 50. The first time at 51, I saw that coming. The second time at 54, I didn't, and they still ended up calling to ask for the computer back. So I have done this from both positions. The slow motion, I think this is happening dread, and the sudden gut punch too. And I want to tell you, if you're watching those signs right now, use that time. You have something most people don't, a heads up. So don't waste it catastrophizing. All right. My first piece of advice is to get a real picture of what your life actually costs. Not what you think it costs, what it actually costs. Sit down this week and pull up 3 months worth of bank accounts and credit card statements. Write down every dollar that went out, the categories, the amounts, all of it. I know it sounds tedious, but you cannot make a plan around a number you don't know. And I think a lot of people are surprised when they see the real number, sometimes pleasantly and sometimes not so pleasantly. When I did this myself before my layoff, I found some habits that had sneakily got kind of expensive. You might find other things like subscriptions or other recurring charges that you might not even recognize anymore. Once you have that number, you can start figuring out which pieces are actually fixed and which ones are choices. Then ask yourself, what is the bare minimum your household needs to keep going? Not comfortably, but to keep the lights on, food on the table, and a roof over your head. That number is your floor. Know it before you need it so you know what you're dealing with. Number 2, build your emergency fund right now. If you're seeing the signs right now, you have a window that most people don't get, and what you do in that window can change everything. The standard advice is 3 to 6 months of expenses. Fine, but at 59 as the only income for your household, I'd push for as much runway as you can possibly build before the layoff hits. Because here's what that 3 to 6 month advice doesn't tell you. Job hunting after 50 takes a lot longer than you think. I sent out 127 applications after my layoff at 51 and I got 3 interviews. 3. I ended up having to patch together contract work and a part-time gig just to keep things going. And I had good experience and a strong track record. The market for people our age is harder than it used to be, so don't plan on finding something in 2 months when in reality, it might be 6 or 10 or longer. So if there's any time between now and when you think this hits, I'd be moving as much money into savings as fast as humanly possible while you still have that paycheck coming in. So that means, what can you cut right now? Streaming services, eating out, everything discretionary. It doesn't have to be forever, but at least until you have a bigger cushion. Every extra month of runway is a month you don't have to take a job you hate just because you're desperate. And I want to add something about where that money is parked. You don't want it in a traditional savings account that's earning 0 or near 0 interest. It should at least be in a high yield savings account. If you have any meaningful amount sitting in a traditional savings account earning basically nothing, move it today. The difference in interest is real money and you're doing nothing differently except choosing a different account. Number 3 is healthcare. Know your options before you need them. And I'm not going to do a deep dive on this here because honestly, this is a big enough topic that it deserves a video all of its own. And I'm actually going to make that next. But I am going to give you the framework you need right now because this is one of the mistakes people regret the most. Most people think there are only 2 options, either COBRA or the ACA marketplace, also known as Obamacare. There are more than that, and which one makes sense depends on your income after your layoff, your health, and what state you live in. So here's what I want you to do while you're still employed. First, call your HR department and ask what your COBRA premium would be. They will tell you. Because when you're paying both your portion and your employer's portion, it can be shockingly high, and you do not want to find out that number after the fact. Second, go to healthcare.gov and run your numbers using your projected post-layoff income, not what you're making now. A lot of people will qualify for subsidies they never would have gotten while they were employed, but only if they actually check. Third, look at Medicaid eligibility in your state. A lot of people assume they won't qualify and never even look. Let the system tell you no. Don't decide that for yourself. And then know that there are also alternative approaches that a lot of people aren't even aware of, things like health share plans and direct primary care memberships. These are not traditional insurance, and they're not right for everyone, but they can be part of a strategy, especially in that gap before Medicare kicks in at 65. I'm actually going to break all of that down, the pros, the cons, and who they make sense for in a separate video, because it's just too much information and too important to just rush through it. But the bottom line is this: there is no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to healthcare after a layoff. The worst thing you can do is leave this as a problem to solve later. So figure out your options now while you still have a paycheck and while you can think clearly so that you're not making decisions in panic mode. While you have medical coverage, schedule any appointments you need. Make sure your preventative care is up to date, including your dental checkups, and get your prescriptions refilled. Get caught up before your coverage ends. All right, number 4, do not leave anything on the table. When a layoff hits, a lot of people rule out assistance programs without ever checking if they qualify. There's pride involved, there's stigma, there's the idea that that's for other people. Don't do that. Programs like SNAP and other forms of assistance exist for situations exactly like this: a sudden loss of income. And the income thresholds are often higher than people expect. Let the system tell you if you don't qualify. Do not decide that for yourself. My husband actually worked in a welfare office earlier in his life, determining eligibility for these programs. And he saw the same thing over and over: people who needed help but never applied because they assumed they wouldn't qualify. And they were often wrong. You have paid into these systems your entire working life. Using them when you need them is not a sign of weakness. It's the whole reason the programs are there. So if things get tight, go to benefits.gov or your state site and check. Don't walk away from help you may actually be entitled to. All right, number 5, know your retirement accounts and what you can access. At 59, the rules around retirement accounts start to move in your favor, and you need to understand what you actually have available. At 59 and a half, you can withdraw from traditional IRAs and 401ks without the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Before that, pulling money out can cost you heavily in penalties and taxes, which matters a lot when every dollar counts. So here's what you should look at right now. First, do you know where all your accounts are? Old 401ks from past jobs are easy to lose track of. Find them, know your total amounts in every account. Second, do you have a Roth IRA? If you do, the contributions you put in, not the earnings, but the original contributions, those can be withdrawn at any time, tax-free and penalty-free. That's flexibility that your other tax-advantaged retirement accounts don't have. And third, if you're still contributing to a 401k, think about your timing. If a layoff is coming, you might want more cash in a liquid account instead of locked away. I'm certainly not a financial advisor, and your situation may be different, but these are the questions I would be asking. All right, if you're still with me, these next few might matter even more. Number 6, know your Social Security numbers. At 59, you are only a few years away from being able to claim Social Security. Most people have no idea what their actual benefit will be until they're already in crisis. Don't wait for that. Go to ssa.gov and create a My Social Security account. It takes about 10 minutes, and once you're in, you'll see your projected benefit at 62, at full retirement age, and at 70. Look at all 3 numbers, because the difference between claiming early and waiting can be significant, often hundreds of dollars more for the rest of your life. And if your work history has gaps or lower earning years, don't assume you know what your benefits will be. Sometimes it's lower than expected, but sometimes it's better. You won't know until you look. This is one of the easiest things you can do to reduce uncertainty. 7, get your paperwork in order before you need it. This one sounds boring, do it anyway. When a layoff hits, there's a flood of things you suddenly need, and trying to track them down when you're stressed is miserable. So get ahead of it now. Pull together your recent pay stubs. You're going to likely need them for unemployment and insurance applications. Then update your resume while you're still employed. It's a lot easier to write from a place of confidence than from rejection. And yes, use AI to help you. It can do a lot of the work here. Look into your company's severance policy and your state's unemployment benefits. Know what you'd receive and how long it lasts. Knowing those numbers allows you to plan around them. And do a little bit of job hunting prep too. Update your LinkedIn and reconnect with former colleagues before you need to ask them for something. Doing these things ahead of time will help you feel a little less overwhelmed when the layoff comes. Number 8, take stock of your income producing skills. With decades of experience behind you, you almost certainly have skills that could generate income outside of a traditional job. But most people don't think about that until the desperation hits. So start thinking about that now. Ask yourself, what do you know how to do that other people would pay for? Consulting in your field, contract work, teaching, training. In the past, I taught dance classes, something completely outside of my career set. But the hourly rate was great and I loved it. There weren't enough hours to live on solely, but it definitely helped and it gave me something to look forward to. I've done a video on side hustles after 50, the honest version, not just the just start a blog and make passive income version. And I'll link that below. But the short version is this: use the skills you already have. After 50, you have advantages like experience and reliability and the fact that you can walk into a situation and do the work on day one without needing to be trained. Those are valuable. Know what you have before you need to sell it. And use AI to help you brainstorm. Tell it what things you've done for work and for pleasure. Ask it to generate ways those skills can be used to make money. I've actually done this exercise and I am contemplating trying one of those small business options that it suggested. You might be surprised the ideas that AI will come up with. If you haven't used AI, find one and just start asking it questions. Anyway, you don't have to have a plan fully formed right now, but having even a rough sense of your options, maybe 2 or 3 things that you could actually do to bring in money if you needed to, can go a long way to helping you sleep at night. Number 9, have the real conversation at home. If you have loved ones at home, have you had a real conversation with them about what's coming? Not a soft version of things might be changing at work, but the real one. Here's what I'm worried about. Here's what our financial picture looks like. And here's what I need from you right now. I know that conversation might be difficult, but carrying this alone is much harder than sharing it. And the people who love you would rather know the truth and be part of figuring it out than be protected from it and blindsided later, because that's what's going to happen if you don't have this conversation. So have that conversation before the layoff if you can. And number 10, give yourself permission to dream a little bit. I know what you're thinking. You're in stress mode, worried about money and healthcare and what comes next, and dreaming feels irresponsible right now. But stay with me for a minute. This might actually be the most important part. You are going through a transition, even if it's forced and scary. And transitions are rare moments when the path actually opens up a little bit, when things that kept you locked in place are suddenly gone. And for a moment, before fear takes over, there's space to consider something different. So let me ask you, what would you do if you could do anything? Not what's realistic, not what makes sense, just what do you actually want? Because a lot of us spent decades landing where life took us, not where we meant to go. We chose stability, we made the practical decision, and that's okay. But now you're in a transition whether you want to be or not. You're going to come out the other side of it somewhere different. The question is whether or not you have any say in where that is. So before you start applying to anything that looks like your old life, take a little time. What did you love? What did you hate? What would this next chapter look like if it was actually better, not just survivable? Maybe it's a different field. Maybe it's part-time. Maybe it's something that you build yourself. Maybe it's the thing you've been putting off for 15 years. And I'm not saying ignore the financial reality. You still have to make the numbers work. But within those constraints, there's often more room than fear allows you to see. And if you spend the next chapter just recreating the last one out of habit, you might miss a real chance to end up somewhere better. The layoff is happening anyway. You're going through this whether you choose it or not. You might as well come out the other side somewhere you actually want to be. So dream a little, write it down, say it out loud. What does the life you actually want look like? And what would have to be true to get you there? And before I wrap up, there's something I need to say because nobody said this to me and I wish they had. This might not be a temporary setback. This might be the beginning of something else. The job market after 50 is tough and ageism is real. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it because I spent a lot of energy trying to get back to what I had before I finally started asking a different question. Not how do I get my old life back, but what could actually work from here? At 59, you're not too old to figure this out, but figuring it out might not look like another full-time corporate job with benefits and a 401k. It might look different, maybe smaller, maybe more on your terms. I'm certainly not telling you to give up on finding work, especially if that's what you want, but I am telling you to hold both possibilities at the same time. Look for a job and also ask yourself, if I never went back, what would have to be true for that to be okay? Because that question might be worth more than anything else I've said today. If this channel is about anything, it's this. A forced exit at this age doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of a chapter you didn't plan, but might actually need. I didn't choose my layoff, but I am choosing what to do with it, and you can too. And to the woman who left that comment, this stress that you're feeling right now, that is an appropriate response to a really tough situation. You're carrying the whole household, you're watching something coming that you can't fully stop, and you're trying to get ahead of it. That's responsibility, and the fact that you're asking these questions now before it happens means that you are already doing it right. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything's going to be fine because I don't know that. But the people who come through the best are the ones who use whatever warning time they have. You have a window, use it. Okay, let me recap those 10 things real quickly. 1, know your true monthly costs. 2, build your emergency fund. 3, understand your healthcare options. 4, don't leave assistance on the table. 5, check your retirement accounts. 6, know your Social Security benefit. 7, get your paperwork ready. 8, assess income producing skills. 9, have a real family conversation. And 10, give yourself permission to dream. These 10 things can make a difference between walking into a hard situation knowing where you stand and walking in blind. If you're in this right now, drop a comment. Even if you don't know what to say, just comment watching. I read every single one and I promise you're not alone in this. Hit that like button if this was helpful and subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to keep following along because we're going to keep having these conversations. Thanks for being here and take care of yourself out there.